$99 billion of that comes from commercial sex trafficking. A21 is a global organization whose mission is to end slavery. They work to free slaves and disrupt demand. The heart of A21 is the one woman, the one man, the one child trapped and exploited. Their goal is freedom for every human being on the planet. A21 operates in 14 different locations around the world, from reducing vulnerability in refugee camps to protecting and providing aftercare for survivors. Human trafficking is the fastest growing crime in the world. It's hidden in plain sight right here in our own community. There are different types of human trafficking: sex trafficking, bonded labor, child soldiers, forced labor, and involuntary domestic servitude. In our community, it's sex trafficking that's seen most. There are more than 600 women in London that self-identify as being trafficked. This means that they understand what's happening to them, but there are many more that don't understand. London is a source and destination hub for human trafficking. It's a huge problem in our city. The average age a teen girl enters the sex trade is 12 to 14 years. We need to educate our children. We need to prevent this before it happens. It can happen to anyone, but traffickers tend to target the most vulnerable: young girls with family problems or who have been sexually abused, runaways looking for basic needs and shelter, and those just looking to be loved. This also includes boys and young men. It's not just girls being targeted. I'm a survivor of familial sex trafficking right here in London. My father started sexually abusing me before I was 2 years old. By age 6, he was selling me to strangers. My first memory of being sold was to an older woman. My parents had recently separated, and my mom left us with our dad so that our lives were disrupted as little as possible. She didn't want to take us away from our home and our friends. She had no idea what my dad was doing and thought she was doing what was best for us. My dad told me we were going to the YWCA to meet a woman who might babysit, and that she stayed there because she had nowhere else to stay and we would be helping her out. When we got there, he left me sitting on a love seat in a fancy lounge and went to the woman's room with her. I remember there was a man standing behind a desk looking at me. When they came back, my dad told me she was going to babysit me for a while. He took my hand, put it in the woman's hand, and walked away. She led me down the hall to her room. That day changed my life forever. If there had been awareness back then, the man behind the desk may have known what was happening. He would have known who to call and how to help me. This went on for at least 10 years. During that time, my father remarried a woman just like him. She also started sexually abusing and trafficking me. Together, they set up dates for me. They would drug my food or drink with some kind of sedative so that I was less resistive during the date. My stepmom would dress me up, do my hair and makeup. They used physical force and punishment, as well as threats. Threats to my mom's safety is what worked best. I had to protect and keep her safe, so I never told anyone. By age 7, we had moved in with my mom. I went to my dad's every other weekend for a month in the summer. I didn't live with him. I went to school regularly, went to Brownies and Guides, and lived what seemed to be a normal life to everyone around me. But the abuse and trafficking was still happening. It didn't stop until I was 16 and stopped going to my dad's. Education and awareness are key in prevention. It also helps identify victims so intervention is possible. By coming together today and standing united for freedom, we are part of the solution, and we are making an impact both locally and globally. I'd like to introduce a fellow survivor to share her story, Carolyn Pugh Roberts.
Hi everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I know it's a Saturday and you made the effort, so you rock. I was really lucky to meet Jackie, and who you'll meet. My story is different. Mine was the lover boy / Romeo pimp scenario, which tends to be the boyfriend. I was trafficked here in London for 8 years, through the strip bars and the parlors and along the 401 corridor. We talk about what makes people vulnerable to human trafficking. Mine was clinical depression and complicated grief after having lost my husband, my mother, and my 2 best friends within a period of 6 months. I'm really glad that you're here with the kids too, because they are really the more vulnerable ones. I was lucky I was able to get out, and also I was lucky because I was older, so I knew that there was actually more to life. So it was easier, even though it took me 2 years to get away, it was easier for me because I knew there was more to life. but we see a lot of these young people who know nothing else. So we need to stop saying, why doesn't she leave or why doesn't he leave? We need to start saying, why doesn't he stop? Not putting the onus on the victims. I think that it's really good that you hear, especially with the kids. And I want to just let you know, on Tuesday night, the Salvation Army is doing